Beloved, before you scroll, pause for a moment, because what you're about to hear could be the very message your heart has been waiting for. Have you ever felt like you've prayed, believed, and waited, but still nothing seems to move? Like the door to your dream is locked no matter how many times you've knocked. If you've ever stood in that place of delay, of disappointment, or of quiet struggle, then this message is for you. Tonight, I want to take you on a journey from despair to hope, from frustration to faith, from almost giving up to standing tall again. Because there is a truth that cannot be shaken. Faith that refuses to quit always finds a way. The world may say, it's over, but when God says, it's not finished, everything changes. You see, some of the greatest miracles happen not in the calm, but in the chaos. Not when you're full of strength, but when you're holding on by a thread. That's when the power of unshakable faith begins to rise within you. As you listen to this message, open your heart wide. Every word spoken here carries a spark meant to reignite your belief. There's something divine waiting to awaken inside of you. Something that says, I will not give up until the promise is fulfilled. You are not here by accident. You were led to this moment because your breakthrough has a timing, and your timing is now. Throughout the next few minutes, you will be reminded that faith isn't just a feeling. It's a force. It's the courage to keep walking when your eyes can't see the path. It's the quiet confidence that says, I know my God is still working even when I can't feel it. If you've been tired, weary, or ready to let go, I urge you, stay until the end. There's a divine word waiting for you that could shift your entire perspective. So lean in, silence the noise, and let your spirit listen. This is not just another speech. It's a prophetic reminder that your story is not finished. Your dream is not dead. And your faith still has power to move mountains. By the end of this message, I believe something in you will awaken again. Your fire, your vision, your purpose, your unstoppable belief that with faith you can rise again no matter how many times life has tried to knock you down. This is your time, your turning point, your divine reminder never to give up. Because the promise still stands, and the God who began it will surely complete it. Faith thrives in the fire of trials because it is in the moments of greatest pressure that the true substance of belief is revealed. Anyone can declare faith when life is peaceful, when prayers are quickly answered, and when the road seems smooth. But genuine faith is not built in comfort. It is refined in conflict. Just as gold must be tested by fire to prove its purity, so too must faith pass through hardship to prove its strength. The furnace of adversity is not sent to destroy you, but to reveal what cannot be shaken within you. When everything around you trembles, what remains is what is eternal, your unyielding trust in divine purpose. The fire does not mean abandonment, it means refinement. In those moments when everything seems dark, when prayers appear unanswered, and when hope feels distant, faith begins to mature. It stops depending on feelings and starts relying on revelation. The man or woman who walks through the fire and keeps believing has reached the highest level of spiritual strength. You may not see the way, but faith whispers, the way is being made. You may not feel the presence of God, but faith declares He is closer than ever. It is in those very moments of silence and waiting that the root of faith goes deeper than ever before. Trials teach us to shift our trust from human effort to divine ability. When your own strength fails, faith steps in and carries you through. The fire strips away pride, fear, and self-reliance, leaving only a heart that depends on God completely. Many desire strong faith, but few are willing to endure what makes faith strong. It is not the easy seasons that build spiritual giants. It is the nights of tears, the days of uncertainty, and the moments when everything within you wants to quit. Yet you choose to believe one more time. That choice, made in pain, is what opens the door to miracles. Faith that has not been tested cannot be trusted. It must be proven by resistance, just as muscles grow only under pressure. Each challenge you face becomes divine training ground for your destiny. The greater the fire, the purer the outcome. When you refuse to give up despite the storm, you activate heaven's attention. Angels respond to unwavering belief. Divine favor locates those who stand firm, even when logic says to quit. The fire of trials may shake you, but it cannot consume you, because the one who walks with you in the fire is greater than the flames themselves. Every trial becomes a testimony for the one who endures. Faith is not about escaping the fire, but about walking through it with peace, knowing that what awaits on the other side is greater than what was lost. The moment you stop seeing trials as punishment and start seeing them as promotion, everything changes. Your tears become seeds, your pain becomes purpose, and your endurance becomes proof that faith, when tested, always triumphs. Vision is the language of faith, and without vision, faith has no direction. Every great move of God begins with a picture in the spirit before it becomes a reality in the natural. Vision allows you to see beyond your current situation and into what God has already prepared for you. It is the spiritual ability to perceive what the eyes cannot yet see. The person who carries vision walks through storms differently. They see past the pain into the promise. When faith and vision work together, you become unstoppable, because what you see in your heart becomes more real than what you see with your eyes. Vision is not imagination, it is revelation. It is the inward conviction that what God has spoken will surely come to pass, even when the evidence appears contrary. People without vision live by sight and emotion, easily swayed by circumstance. But people with vision live by faith, holding on to what heaven has shown them, even when life screams the opposite. When you carry divine vision, delay does not discourage you, opposition does not intimidate you, and waiting does not weaken you. You remain steady because your eyes are fixed on something higher than what others can perceive. Vision is not born in comfort. It is born in prayer, in stillness, in moments where God whispers destiny into your heart. When you have vision, your language changes. You no longer talk about impossibility, you talk about inevitability. You no longer describe the mountain, you declare to it. Vision gives your words power because your speech flows from conviction, not confusion. Every giant looks smaller when you have seen victory in advance. You begin to act differently because faith always follows the image of what it believes. Vision pulls you into the future before your body arrives there. That's why people of faith often appear misunderstood. They see something others don't, and they speak from a realm that hasn't yet manifested. The absence of vision leads to exhaustion. Many people give up not because their dreams were too hard, but because they could no longer see them clearly. When vision fades, hope weakens and motivation disappears. But when vision is alive, strength returns even in seasons of waiting. Vision becomes your inner compass. It guides you through darkness, keeps you focused when distractions come, and reminds you why you began. Even when you walk through the valley, vision tells you there's still a mountain ahead. That image in your spirit becomes your fuel. It keeps your heart burning when everything else feels cold. Faith needs something to aim toward, and vision provides that target. When faith sees nothing, it stands still. But when vision paints a picture, faith runs toward it. That is why God gives visions to those He trusts with destiny. He wants them to see the end before the beginning so they won't give up halfway. When you hold tightly to the vision God placed within you, no setback can stop you, no delay can destroy you. And no storm can drown what heaven has shown you. The holy imagination creates reality because before anything can exist in your life, it must first exist within your spirit. Everything that manifests in the natural realm begins as a thought, a vision, or a belief conceived in the unseen. The imagination is the creative womb of faith. It is where divine ideas are birthed. When your imagination is filled with fear, you attract limitation. But when your imagination is filled with faith, you attract miracles. The mind is not just a tool for thinking, it is a spiritual instrument designed to partner with heaven in creation. What you continually see and meditate upon in your inner world eventually becomes the experience of your outer world. The difference between those who live in defeat and those who live in victory is often what they allow their imagination to dwell on. If you constantly see failure, you prepare yourself to live it. But if you visualize victory, provision, and divine favor, your faith begins to magnetize those realities toward you. The imagination must be sanctified, submitted to divine truth, because it can either build your destiny or sabotage it. The enemy attacks your mind because he knows that if he can control your imagination, he can control your future. Every great miracle begins when you dare to see it before you experience it. Abraham saw himself as a father long before Isaac was born. David saw himself as a king long before the throne was his. They imagined what God had spoken until it became impossible to doubt it. When your imagination aligns with divine promises, it becomes a prophetic force. You begin to think in agreement with heaven, and creation starts responding to your inner picture. You stop being reactive and start being creative. You no longer wait for change. You produce it through faith, filled imagination. The invisible world begins to take shape through the images you hold in your heart. That is why you must guard your thoughts carefully, because every thought is a seed and the imagination is the soil. What you dwell on repeatedly grows roots and eventually bears fruit in your reality. Your imagination is not a place of fantasy. It is the construction site of your future. Faith gives it blueprints. Words give it structure. The more clearly you see what you desire in your spirit, the faster it begins to manifest in your life. You were created in the image of the Creator, which means you carry within you the same ability to imagine and bring forth new realities. When your mind is filled with divine visions, your environment must eventually match your inner picture. What you see inwardly determines what you attract outwardly. This is why it is dangerous to let fear, doubt, and negativity dominate your imagination. They are thieves of destiny, planting false pictures that limit divine expression. But when you fill your mind with faith, hope, and divine promises, your imagination becomes holy ground, a place where heaven meets earth. The holy imagination, guided by faith and powered by prayer, turns unseen promises into living testimonies and transforms dreams into undeniable realities. Prayer turns weakness into power because it is the divine exchange between human limitation and supernatural strength. When you pray, you are not simply speaking into the air. You are connecting your finite being to an infinite source. Prayer is not about changing God's mind. It is about aligning your heart with His will. It transforms your perspective, renews your strength, and infuses your spirit with divine energy. The moment you pray sincerely, heaven begins to move, not because of the eloquence of your words, but because of the posture of your faith. In prayer, the weak stand tall, the weary find rest, and the broken discover purpose. When life presses hard, prayer becomes your breath. It sustains you when nothing else can. People often see prayer as a ritual, but it is a lifeline. Every time you pray, you are drawing from the eternal reservoir of divine power. That is why those who pray continually rarely give up. They may bend under pressure, but they never break. Prayer builds inner resilience. It strengthens your spiritual muscles so that you can endure seasons of waiting, disappointment, or pain. You may not always get the answer you expect, but prayer guarantees that you will receive the strength you need to keep moving forward. In prayer, the impossible becomes possible because prayer invites heaven to intervene in earthly matters. It shifts focus from what you lack to the one who lacks nothing. Prayer reminds you that your circumstances are temporary, but God's power is eternal. When you kneel in surrender, you rise in authority. That is why the enemy fears a praying person, because someone who prays cannot be defeated from within. Even when everything outside appears unchanged, prayer transforms the heart until the heart transforms the world around it. Prayer takes your tears and turns them into seeds of breakthrough. Prayer also reshapes your identity. It reminds you that you are not a victim of life's events, but a vessel of divine purpose. In prayer, you exchange your anxiety for peace, your confusion for clarity, and your weakness for supernatural endurance. Every genuine prayer, even whispered through pain, carries creative power. God never ignores the cry of faith. Even silence becomes a response, training your patience and deepening your dependence. Sometimes prayer doesn't remove the storm, it strengthens you to walk on it. The purpose of prayer is not escape, but empowerment. The greatest victories are not won in the open. They are won in the secret place of prayer. When you pray, you shift atmospheres, you change outcomes, and you release angels to work on your behalf. It may not always happen instantly, but prayer guarantees progress in the unseen. Every word you speak in faith echoes in eternity and returns with strength you didn't know you possessed. When you make prayer your lifestyle, weakness loses its hold, fear dissolves, and your spirit becomes unshakable. Prayer doesn't just change things, it changes you until you become the kind of person who cannot be broken, because divine power flows through your surrendered heart. Patience is the bridge between promise and manifestation, because it is the spiritual force that carries faith through the seasons of waiting. Every promise from God is true, but it unfolds in its appointed time. Patience is not passive, it is an active trust that believes the word is already settled, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. Many people receive a promise but lose it in the waiting because impatience convinces them that delay means denial. Yet, what feels like delay is often divine preparation. The promise is not late, it is ripening. Patience keeps you positioned until the harvest is ready. Faith begins the journey, but patience sustains it. Without patience, faith collapses under pressure. Patience is what keeps your heart anchored when your eyes cannot see progress. It reminds you that the process is just as important as the promise. The waiting season is where character is forged, wisdom is gained, and trust is perfected. In those moments when nothing seems to move, patience whispers, "Hold on, the word is still working." The seed planted in faith needs time to grow roots before it bears fruit. If you dig it up too soon with worry or frustration, you abort what heaven has already begun to produce. Patience teaches you to rest in divine timing. Human nature wants instant results, but God's kingdom works through process. The waiting is not punishment, it is refinement. During the wait, God aligns people, circumstances, and opportunities to ensure that when the manifestation arrives, you are ready to sustain it. If blessings come too early, they can become burdens. Patience ensures maturity. It prepares your hands to hold what your heart has believed for. The promise is never in question. Only your endurance determines whether you'll see it fulfilled. The greatest test of faith is not believing in the beginning. It's continuing to believe in the middle. Patience empowers you to stand firm when your emotions waver and your mind grows weary. It replaces panic with peace and frustration with focus. When you cultivate patience, you stop chasing outcomes and start trusting the process. You begin to see waiting not as wasted time, but as divine training. Every delay becomes a teacher. Every obstacle becomes a lesson. And every pause becomes preparation for increase. Patience is not the absence of movement, but the presence of stability. It keeps your spirit quiet while your faith works behind the scenes. Those who give up too soon often stop right before breakthrough. Patience is what keeps you walking when you cannot yet see the finish line. It transforms endurance into victory because only those who finish the race inherit the promise. In the silence of waiting, God is working. In the pause, He is perfecting. When you master patience, you master the flow of divine timing. The promise will not fail. It will come when both you and the moment are ready to meet. The test is temporary, but the reward is eternal, because every challenge in life has an expiration date, while the strength and faith it builds last forever. Trials may feel endless in the moment, but they are only passing chapters in a much greater story. Every hardship carries a hidden purpose to refine, to strengthen, and to prepare you for what is coming next. The pain of today is shaping the power of tomorrow. When you understand that tests are temporary, you stop focusing on how long they last and start focusing on what they are producing within you. God never wastes a struggle. Every tear, every delay, every disappointment is molding your spirit into something unshakable. When life becomes difficult, the enemy tries to convince you that your suffering is permanent. But faith reminds you that this moment is not the end. It is a doorway to something greater. Just as seasons change, so do trials. Winter never lasts forever. Spring always follows. Your faith is being refined through the fire, not destroyed by it. The test is not proof of your weakness. It is proof of your potential. The very pressure you feel is evidence that something powerful is about to emerge. Diamonds are created under extreme heat, and so is enduring faith. The struggle is temporary, but the transformation it produces is eternal. Endurance during testing reveals your true character. Anyone can worship when life is easy, but real faith shines brightest in the darkness. Every time you choose to trust instead of fear, to praise instead of complain, and to stand instead of surrender, you are passing the test. Each test you overcome becomes a testimony that strengthens others. Your reward is not just material, it is spiritual. You become wiser, stronger, and more aligned with divine purpose. The lessons you learn in the fire prepare you to lead others out of theirs. When you realize the test is temporary, your perspective changes. You begin to see problems as pathways and pain as preparation. The weight of waiting becomes lighter because you understand it will not last forever. What God allows today is building the foundation for tomorrow's blessing. The reward is not only the breakthrough at the end, but also the person you become through the process. You develop patience, humility, and resilience, qualities that no comfort zone could ever teach. The reward of faith is not only receiving the promise, but becoming the kind of person who can sustain it. Every test you face is a divine setup for elevation. When the storm finally passes, you will stand taller and stronger than before. Temporary suffering always gives birth to lasting glory. The reward for not giving up is greater than anything you could lose by enduring. Heaven keeps record of every act of faith, every prayer whispered in pain, and every moment you refuse to quit. The test will end, but the strength, wisdom, and faith you gain will echo through eternity, proving that what was once painful became the very foundation of your divine reward. As we reach the end of this message, remember this: faith that endures never loses. No matter how dark the night may seem, the light of belief always breaks through. Life will test you, storms will rise, and there will be moments when you feel like giving up. But those who refuse to quit, those who choose to trust when everything looks impossible, are the ones who see the hand of God move mightily in their lives. Every challenge you face is shaping a deeper strength within you. Every delay is preparing you for divine acceleration. And every tear you've cried is watering the seed of your breakthrough. Never forget that your faith is not fragile, it is forged in fire. The same power that raised dreams from ashes before will do it again for you. You are not forgotten, you are being prepared. The dream that seems delayed is not denied, it's being refined so that when it comes, it will last. Keep your heart anchored in vision, your spirit grounded in prayer, and your mind filled with the picture of victory that God has placed within you. You are closer than you think, stronger than you feel, and more favored than you realize. So, no matter what season you find yourself in today, don't give up. Don't stop believing. Keep walking by faith, even when the road is unclear. The moment you feel weakest is often the moment right before breakthrough. Hold on, keep declaring, and keep trusting. The fire will not consume you, it will only refine you. And when the testing ends, you will emerge brighter, stronger, and overflowing with the evidence that God's promises never fail. As you move forward from this moment, I speak strength into your heart, peace into your mind, and courage into your spirit. May every battle you face become a testimony of victory. May your faith rise above fear, and may your perseverance open doors no one can close. The reward waiting for you is far greater than the pain behind you. Good luck, my friend. This is not your end, it's your awakening. You were born to overcome, to endure, and to shine. Thank you for listening, for standing firm, and for believing that your story is not finished yet. The best chapter is still being written, and soon the world will see what faith that never gives up can truly create.